The boy didn't scream at first. That was the part no one noticed. 30,000 feet in the air, sealed inside a metal tube full of strangers, a flight attendant leaned down and pressed a fork into a black child's leg, not in a panic, not by accident. Slow enough to make a point blood-darkened denim, the cabin stayed quiet. Eyes looked forward, and while the plane kept climbing, something else was already falling apart. A lie built on silence, authority, and the belief that this child wouldn't be. Believed Malik sat in the window seat of the premium cabin, knees pulled in slightly, backpack tucked under his legs. The way his father had taught him, he was 12, small for his age and careful in a way children become when they learn early that attention can be dangerous. The seat wasn't a mistake, the ticket wasn't a favor. His father had booked it months earlier, quietly, deliberately. Malik didn't know why it mattered so much to him, only that his father always said preparation was protection. The cabin around him felt polished and distant, wider seats, softer lighting, passengers who spoke with certainty as if the world usually bent their way. Malik kept his eyes down, sketching the wing outside the window, counting breaths. That was when the first look came, a glance that lingered too long, a pause where there didn't need to be one, the kind of look that asked a question without words. Why are you here? Malik noticed it. He always did. He just pretended not to when the service cart rolled down the aisle, metal clinking softly. He straightened in his seat. He reached out to take the tray, fingers brushing plastic, balance slightly off. A fork slipped. It fell between the seats, a small mistake, a normal one. Malik leaned down to pick it up, already forming an apology he'd learned to deliver quickly. He never finished it. The movement was fast but controlled. Hand reached back to the cart, metal flashed once under cabin lights, pain hit before understanding. The fork pierced Malik's thigh through denim, sharp and burning, the shock locking the air in his chest. His body jerked against the seatbelt, his fingers clawed the armrest. For a moment no sound came out at all, then blood appeared, dark, spreading, undeniable. The aisle froze, a few heads turned. Someone half stood, then sat back down. The flight attendant straightened, face smooth, posture calm, as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. The tray cart rolled forward again. Malik stared at his leg, brain scrambling for logic that wouldn't come. Adults weren't supposed to do this. Uniforms weren't supposed to hurt you. Pain like this wasn't supposed to happen quietly. The flight attendant leaned closer, just enough for Malik to hear breath over engine hum. The message wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Authority rarely raises its voice. Malik went still. Fear settled heavier than the pain. Not just fear of being hurt again, but fear of not being believed. Had seen that story before, in classrooms, in stores, in places where explanations only made things worse around him. The cabin chose comfort. Some passengers looked away. Others pretended confusion. No one pressed the call button for him. One man across the aisle did something different. He didn't speak. He didn't stand. He lifted his phone just enough, angled low, recording without drama. He had worked inside systems long enough to know how quickly truth disappeared without proof. Malik pressed his sleeve to his leg. It soaked through. His hands shook. He wanted his father in a way that felt physical, like gravity pulling him backward through time, miles away in a glass-walled boardroom. Malik's father stood in the middle of a meeting he no longer heard. His phone buzzed once, then again, a short message, a video file, a single sentence beneath it. His body went rigid. He didn't shout. He didn't swear. He walked out, already dialing, already issuing instructions that snapped systems awake on the plane. The flight attendant moved with less confidence, now smiles, stiffened, steps shortened. He avoided one seat in particular. The plane cruised on engines steady, pretending nothing was wrong, but beneath, the calm pressure was building inside the cabin, inside the company, inside a man who had just learned his son was bleeding in the sky. The wheels touched down hard enough to jolt Malik's leg. He winced but stayed quiet. Silence had become a shield. The plane rolled to the gate and stopped. Then nothing happened. No cheerful announcement, no doors opening, just stillness through the small window near the front. The flight attendant saw them. Not crew, not supervisor, security, standing too straight, too alert. The cabin announcement finally came, firm and unfamiliar, asking everyone to remain seated. The man with the phone stood up. He walked down the aisle, calmly past confused passengers, past the flight attendant whose confidence finally cracked. He handed his phone to the first officer who boarded. 6 seconds of video was all it took. The flight attendant's name was spoken out loud. His hands were guided behind his back. The cuffs clicked louder than any scream Malik hadn't made. As the man was led away, no one clapped, no one cheered. The silence this time felt different. Heavier earned. An officer knelt beside Malik's voice Careful, a wheelchair appeared. The aisle parted at the gate. Malek saw his father, not angry, not panicked, controlled in a way that was far more dangerous. His father crouched in front of him, eyes scanning the blood, the shaking hands, the face trying to. Hard to be brave. Malek nodded once. That was enough. Behind them, cameras were already adjusting focus. Inside the company, records were being pulled. Complaints long buried, resurfacing, patterns emerging. No press release could smooth over. This wasn't just about one flight attendant anymore. It was about who had been protected and who never was. Asterisk. The story broke by morning, not leaked, released. The footage showed no confusion, no accident, just a child, a uniform, and a quiet abuse of power that had counted. On disbelief, charges followed, then resignations, then investigations that reached higher than anyone expected. Inside the airline, policies changed fast, but not before names were named, files reopened, complaints reclassified, patterns acknowledged instead of erased. The flight attendant faced court, not as a symbol, as a person responsible for a choice he made when he thought no one would stop him. Malek healed slowly. The wound closed, the scar didn't disappear. At school, some kids whispered, others stared. Malik learned which teachers spoke to him differently now and which always had. He learned that survival didn't come with applause, just persistence. His father didn't turn the story into a victory tour. He turned it into work, quiet, structural, uncomfortable. Work that made powerful people nervous. Months later, Malik boarded another flight, same airline, different crew. A flight attendant knelt to his level, asked if he needed anything, and waited for the answer. Nothing happened, and that mattered, because the real injustice wasn't the fork, it was the assumption behind it, the belief that a black child could be hurt quietly and disappear into the noise. That belief collapsed at 30,000 feet. So here's the question this story leaves behind. How many times has silence protected harm, and how many people are still counting on it to keep working?